All right. So anyway, I'm gonna give you a quick little rundown of my background. My background is in strength and conditioning, which is different than personal training. Strength and conditioning is working with athletes. So for my entire career, I've worked with athletes from college all the way up to professionals, world champions, everywhere in between. So the mindset is very similar. If you want to be successful in personal training, most people, they just are looking to build muscle, lose fat, feel better about themselves, feel better about the way they look, and be a little bit more capable in what their bodies can do. The athlete, that's your whole job, right? Especially when you're a professional, this is your whole job, is to have your body perform as well as you possibly can. And if you look at athletes, they typically have a look that most people want. So if we can adopt the mindset of an athlete, you're going to be a lot more successful in your fitness journey, whatever it is. So I used to teach at University of Tennessee, and this is something that I was in trouble with the administration quite a bit, because I would just speak exactly what I'm going to speak to you guys now. But it's the truth. Okay, I'm going to teach you guys the truth. And here's the reality. So imagine this. Imagine you're training and you're an athlete and you go to compete. I coach a lot of powerlifting, obviously, for those guys that don't know. Powerlifting is a big thing, right? So imagine this. You are training to be the best that you possibly can be. We're not training to go compete against Rebecca from the next gym over, right? We're trained to compete against Russians and Bulgarians and Germans and people from South America and people from Asia, people from all over the world. And these people don't give a fuck, okay? These people care about winning. They come from a culture that's a lot different than ours, a lot of them. And especially the way that things have been going as the past number of years, this is what it comes down to. You start here, you're not good enough to win a world championship. And to get here, to be good enough to win a world championship, there's a certain amount of work in between that's required. And either you do the work or you don't do the work. That's the only thing that matters, right? So the reason that you don't do the work doesn't matter, right? It does not matter when you walk on a platform and you're staring down the barrel of Katinka from Russia. It doesn't matter if you skip this workout for that reason or this reason, a good reason or a bad reason. It doesn't matter. You did the work or you didn't. And these people are tough as nails, right? So the way that you beat people like that continually, which is what we've done on Red5 year after year after year, is you can go in there and look at these girls that are jacked to the max, have insane discipline, come from a culture that can be very brutal at times. And how do you go and beat people like that? You beat people like that by saying, I don't give a fuck. I trained way harder than you. I'm not scared of you. I did all the things. I did my mental training. I ate right. I trained hard every single day. And I came in here and busted my ass every single day. You're not better than me. I don't care what language you speak. I don't care how you look. I don't care how intimidating your culture is. I don't care. Here's some all-American muscle, bitch. Let's fucking go. So how do you get that mindset? How do you get that mindset? Because it has to be real. Because you can say that out loud, but believing that is an entirely different thing. Going and actually looking at somebody like that and being like, let's fucking go, bitch. You have to cultivate that mindset through hard work. And this is why I love the gym so much. It's my number one favorite thing about it. There's so many life lessons that you can learn from the weight room, but it's the most equal opportunity place in the world. It doesn't matter who your mommy and daddy is. It doesn't matter if you're gay or straight or trans or white or black or brown. None of that matters in the weight room. If you want to get better, you have to put in the work. If you want to lose the weight, you have to put in the work. If you want to lift more weight, you have to put in the work. If you want to run faster, jump higher, fit into a bathing suit better, whatever it is that you want to do, you have to put in the work, and the weights will not move if your daddy is a CEO somewhere and gave you $1 million. The weights don't care. So the beauty of that is, hey, listen, this is all in your control. So you can make the excuses and say, well, I couldn't do it for this reason, I couldn't do it for that reason. Or you could say, you know what, I'm going to take personal responsibility for everything. I'm going to lose the victim mindset, and I'm going to say, you know what, I'm in complete control here. And there's going to be certain things that make it harder, and I'm not saying there's not injustices in the world and things like that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it doesn't matter because it's your responsibility to overcome that. And if you don't take that responsibility, you won't overcome that. So if you want to get to where you want to go with anything, it has to be like, you know what? Here's the cards that I have. How do I play these the absolute best way possible? So for me, I'm 5'8", and I have a 6'1" wingspan. It doesn't even fit in this screen. right? So guess what? That's not very good for bench pressing. That's a long way to bench press. So I can take one of two mindsets. I can say, oh, well, I'm never going to be a world-class bench presser, which is probably true. Or I could say, no, I'm still going to be the absolute best I possibly can be. What are all the things that I need to do to be the best that I possibly can be that maybe somebody with shorter arms might not have to do? They might be able to get away with something that I can't. Well, I need to learn how my technique needs to be off the charts. I need to learn how to come with a really wide grip to cut down the range of motion, which is going to be a lot more unstable on my shoulders. So I need to learn how to use my shoulder stabilizers better. I need to do all these different things that somebody might not have to. So you might have to jump over some hurdles that other people don't have to. But what are you going to do? You can either say, you know what, I'm going to just suck at this for the rest of my life, or be like, you know, I'm going to be the absolute best I possibly can be. So, I mean, I can still bench over 400 pounds pretty consistently. I'll be 39 next week. So I feel pretty good about that. Is that a 500-pound bench? No, but it's not a 200-pound bench either, right? So that's where all this stuff comes from. And again, the beginning of this, for some of you guys that missed it, I used to teach at University of Tennessee, and I would teach strength training, nutrition classes, things like that. It's like 1 credit courses that you pretty much had to sign up for. But I would just tell the students exactly what I'm telling you guys right now. Here's the deal. And the administration would be like, you know, you can't just say whatever you want to say. I'm like, why not? You didn't even ask me what I wanted to say. The things that I want to say are things that are going to actually help people instead of saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, you're right. It is going to be, you do have it harder. Don't even try. That's not what we're doing here. So everything that I say, everything that I teach, and everything that you're going to hear on this meeting and in the future meetings come from this lens of it's up to you to do whatever it is that you want in the world, and you can do anything, be anyone, and go anywhere you want to go in the world, and I truly believe that. Right, so I came from the streets. I grew up sleeping on the floor, getting my face smashed into the sidewalk as a kid, and like things like that. Dealt with very real violence my whole entire life. So we call that the so what. So what? Everybody's got a story. Oh, here's your pity party story. Here's your pity party. So what? That sucks, dude. It sucks. Like you shouldn't have to go through that. But sometimes it doesn't matter. Everything that's happened up to this point doesn't matter. We can only control the things that we can control. And that's what we're going to do. So that's what Red 5 essentially is all about, is how do I create a physical training regimen for myself that is so hard that the person that I am today can't do it. And like, well, that doesn't make any sense, Red. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, okay, I try to make training so hard with the athletes that I work with and the people that I work with in general. We try to make it so physically hard that you can't do it. So you have to become someone that can do it. And you have to become someone that has your mental game on point. So that's Red 2, the mental training. You have to be able to be in control of your emotions. That's Red 3. You have to be in control of your spirit or your intuition. That's Red 4. And Red 5 is, how do I create this indomitable will to never give up under any circumstances ever? I call that lion heart. And these are all things that can be developed. And some athletes might have really good skills naturally in one area and really poor skills in another area. I'll tell you, when you get into strength sports and power sports especially, you get a lot of crazy people. So my first college coaching job, I coached women's rugby, Division I, and these people are wild animals, right? These are people who bring the absolute most intensity you've ever seen out of a human being in your entire life. So a lot of them have the mental game, but their emotions are not on point at all. They have this ability to be crazy aggressive. But can you control that? Because being aggressive on a rugby field that's a pretty good quality. But if you can't control that, that's when I used to work at a bar, and they would call me up on like a Tuesday at like 1 a.m. But hey, your girls are in here again. This girl punched a guy in the throat. Can you like do something about this? I'm like, you think I would do something about this? What do you think? What do you expect me to do? Hey, don't do that again. They're like, okay. Point is, to be able to control that aggression, it's not good for you outside of the gym or outside of the rugby field. How do you control that? And there's ways that you can do that. So the physical training, I think that most people, the results that people want comes from the physical training just not being hard enough. And it has to put you in a position where it's like, needs to create a need. I need to do something better. I need to get my recovery better. I need to get my mind control better. I need to get better in some area or another. And then from there, it forces you to come up with a choice. Do I want to get better? Do I want to stare down the barrel of Katinka and be like, yo, fuck you, bitch, you ain't nothing? Or do I want to just accept that? So the first part is the intensity of your training. This is a challenge I'm going to bring to you guys. Even if you just do it for one set, one set of one exercise on your next workout, I want you to push it as hard as you possibly can until you physically just can't do it anymore. So let's say you're doing Bulgarian split squats. Do it till you just can't stand back up. If you're holding 2 dumbbells, do it until you can't stand back up and then drop a dumbbell. And then do it again until you can't stand back up and then drop the other one. And then do it again until you can't stand back up. If you do that one time per exercise, you're gonna grow. You're gonna grow pretty quickly. But most people don't, they're afraid to really release the potential that they have inside of them. So they're afraid to say, you know what, I can do this. What if I fail? So what? Well, yeah, what if you fail? What's so bad about that? You fail and you look like an idiot in front of the entire gym, who cares? I've been there more times than I can count. But if you continue down that path, maybe in the beginning, people might look at you like, oh, that person looks like an idiot. But the reality is people are paying attention to themselves. They're not paying attention to you anyway. The reality is in the beginning, you might look a little silly, but you have to go through that phase of looking silly to get to the phase where you look really good. So I was training my one team at Crunch, which is like a commercial gym, and we were doing a lot of movements that people have never seen before. And when we do those movements, I also worked there at the time. Long story about that, but I worked there at the time, and we would do these weird movements, and then I would see people doing those same movements in the next week or so. So people look at us, we're high-level lifters, and they look at us doing something weird, and they're like, oh, wow, that seems like really cool, let me try it. But if it was a beginner doing the same exact movement, people are like, oh, that looks stupid. But it's like it's the same exact movement. So is their judgment have any value into it whatsoever? If one person does it and it's awesome and another person does it and it's stupid, it's the same exact thing. So letting go of the judgment that you feel from other people in the gym, one, it's not even really there. And two, if it is, who gives a fuck? Right? So I've spent my whole entire life in sports pretty much. But I've also done some things that I've been a complete beginner. When I was in grad school, I took a singing class. And it was like me, I thought it was going to be like some big class. It was like me, this one kid that was already like in a band and was a singer, this girl who's in choir, and another girl who's like a singer. And that was it. And then it was just me, this meathead. It's like, yeah, I have never sang before my entire life. So I was pretty bad. And I had to do 2 recitals. And it was actually really cool. I learned quite a bit, but I was so bad at it. Even at the end, I was still so bad at it, but I was a lot better than I was. So I think a lot of people are afraid to go through this period of like sucking at things, but you have to suck in order to get really good. When I started lifting, had like one of the squat pads on the Smith machine doing quarter squats, thinking that I was a G, right? Like, yeah, look at me go. But now it's like, obviously I've progressed quite a bit. So the first part, try pushing yourselves. Even if it's for one exercise, go beyond the point of where you think that you can go and just see what happens. If you fall flat in your face, sometimes you need to fall flat in your face to realize that it's not that bad. So that's the number one thing, is push the intensity with your exercises harder and then see what happens. And what's going to happen is you're going to grow. It's also what's going to happen, it's going to challenge you mentally, because a lot of people, that when they get to these points of they say, oh, okay, like I can watch somebody, at this point in my coaching career, I've seen people do exercises a bazillion times. So I can watch somebody and see if they quit mentally or if they quit physically just by watching them and how they essentially fail the set. So I want you to challenge yourself, say, I want to really go. And then you're going to find yourself, hey, like that was just as hard as I can go. So now you want to challenge yourself mentally. Okay, how do I get stronger mentally? How do I push my body farther than it wants to go? So these are little things. I have some videos. I should probably make some more. I have some videos about different meditations that you can do. Because the reality is most people, they have this mental chatter going on in their brain all the time that's just like, da, 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 da. If you can slow that down, then you can really be in the present moment. And if you want to have the best performance of your life, you need to be present and be fully here. So meditation helps with that. So here's a quick little meditation exercise that you can try at any time you want. Try for 5 minutes. Go to YouTube, 5-minute meditation music. Click. You can type in 3 minutes. There's meditation music for like any length of time you possibly can think of. 5-minute meditation music. Put some headphones in and just sit there. And people are like, oh, meditation. And me just sit here and think about nothing. I mean, that's not really how it goes. It's like exercising. There's a million different ways to exercise. There's a million different ways to meditate. So I like to do visualization exercises or visualization meditations or focus meditations a lot, and especially in the beginning. So you just sit down and you think about something that you want to get better at. Maybe it's you can kind of visualize your future self. You know, what car do you want to drive? What house you want to live in? What does your body look like? Whatever it is that you want, right? This is a world of unlimited possibilities. You can do whatever it is that you want to do, and just see it in your mind. And as you see it in your mind, it's going to start to build. And the second time you sit down, the third time, you're going to have some things built from the first time. You can build on that. You can build your whole entire life. So you're basically living a lot of these experiences before it happens. So here's what's going to happen when you actually do it. You're going to sit down 5 minutes and you're like, okay, I want to deadlift 500 pounds. And you can visualize yourself with all of the plates on the bar. It's going to be 5 plates on each side with a 2.5 on a 45-pound bar. And you're seeing yourself walk up to the bar and then, oh, wait, tomorrow's trash day. I got to take out the trash. So that right there, that's a mental weakness. That's a mental failure. All right, again, nothing wrong with failing, but you need to recognize for what it is. The mental failure is, hey, I don't have the focus to do this long enough. That's okay, no problem, right? So when you see that happen, or when you recognize, hey, you're kind of going off in a different direction, that's no problem. Just gently bring yourself back and get back to your deadlifting 500 pounds. Okay, that's right. Yeah, I see the platform. I see the bar that's on there. Okay, I'm gonna set my feet exactly where I put them every single time. I'm gonna grab my feet in. I'm gonna start to screw them in because that's the first thing that I should do when I deadlift. And I'm kind of hungry. I was supposed to eat 30 minutes ago. The point is you're gonna have these lapses where your mind continues to wander off. That's okay. Just bring it back. And then the more you do it, the longer that you can go without breaking focus or without breaking your concentration. So then you're going to find that pretty quickly, this 5-minute meditation, now in the beginning it was like, damn, that was the longest 5 minutes of my life. But pretty quickly it's going to turn into, that's not nearly long enough. Let me do 10 minutes. Then 10 minutes isn't long enough, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So that's going to really help. If you can concentrate and be fully focused on what you're doing right here, right now, that's going to help you with every aspect of your life. It's all about being fully present and in the moment. So fully present means I'm here. So a lot of athletes that are super aggressive and don't have their emotions under control, it pulls them out of the moment, right? So they're starting to think, okay, a lot of very, very high level, let's say most very high level performance comes from some sort of trauma that people have, and the way that they use that trauma is like extreme sports performance, right? So a lot of people, what they think is, oh, I have to make this lift, or I need to make my parents proud of me, or I'm not worth anything if I don't make this lift, or blah, blah, blah. And that can be a really powerful and hot burning fuel, but it's not the best because it pulls you out of the moment because you're not focused on what you're doing right here, right now, which is right here. I'm just setting my feet for this deadlift. I'm trying to grab my feet in, trying to really screw them into the ground so I can root in as hard as possible. So if you're thinking about the outcome of the lift, you're not thinking about what you need to do right now to put yourself in the best position to make the outcome of the lift the way you want it to go. So it's not just with the gym, it's just with life in general. Don't focus on the goal. Don't focus on the end result. Focus on the journey to get there. I know that's kind of cliche to say, but it's the truth, right? Focus on what do I need to do to get there. So I have athletes, when I talk to them all the time, I just brought a new girl on. This girl was bothering me for 2 fucking years to coach her, and I was finally like, all right, fine. But yeah, she's a killer, right? And that's why I took her on. She was relentless for a long period of time, and she's just tough, and that's what I like. But it's like, hey, this is a conversation we're having is how do we get to these goals? These goals are great that you have, but how do we get there? What do we need to do today to get there? So one thing I say all the time is be a champion today. Champions aren't made on the platform. Champions aren't made in the big game. Champions aren't made once you get to the goal. Champions are made today. It's a series of these little tiny decisions every single day over and over and over again to get you where you want to go. So if you're trying to lose fat, it's not, okay, let me have it's about making more good decisions than bad decisions. Do I really need these snacks? Do I really need this handful of pretzels? Well, if I have a handful of pretzels, is that going to really derail me from my fat loss goals? No, probably not. It's not. The reality is it's not, right? But it's the decision to do that will derail you, because then this decision, this little decision, and then that little decision adds up to something that will derail you. But saying, you know what, I don't really need those pretzels. And then that's like, okay, cool. Now I made a good decision. Now you make another small good decision, another small good decision, another small one. Those are the things that add up to get you where you want to go. Whether it's making more money, fat loss, building strength, building muscle, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever goal, it's the same process of success to get there. It's a series of small decisions. So if you absolutely hate your life when you're dieting, it's not going to work. It might work in the short term, but it's not going to work in the long term, because if you hate it, eventually you're going to quit. So, okay, how do we reel that back? How do I find a process that I enjoy doing? Well, it's a big question. Everyone's going to be a little bit different in what they enjoy. But you need to set things as victory. So, again, my background is in strength and conditioning. Everything is, hey, we have the deadline. We have this competition on this day at this time, and we need to be our best. And that's victory. Winning this competition, whatever. But you can define victory however you want. So we're going to use that term moving forward. It can be whatever you want. But that's something, victory. How do we get to victory? Well, it's the process, right? So we talk about that quite a bit. I'm sure you've heard that, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Well, it's fucking true. It is. Like, because I'm telling you, because I've been someone that's been to the top of the mountain from a coaching standpoint. I've been to the top of the mountain in a number of areas of my life, and it's not that fucking cool. And there's a time in my life where I sat back and I was at the highest level you possibly can be at, and I was just like, damn, I really sacrificed a lot to get here. And it was kind of like a very chilling moment in my life. It was a very like turning point in my life of like, oh shit, this is not really worth it. I gave up a lot to get here. And then I kind of restarted my whole life. This was kind of going on a tangent here. Long story short, I owned a gym in Delaware. I sold the gym. I moved to Hawaii. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I didn't want to figure out in Delaware. And I went out there and was out there for about a year. That's when I went back to school for my biomechanics master's degree at Tennessee. So I knew I didn't want to figure things out there, but I also knew that I needed a major change in my life, because the way that I was doing things, it wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't fulfilling to me. And people were like, dude, you're at the height of your coaching career. Like, what are you doing? It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I wish I had the right answer for you, but I know that I don't want to do this. And I'm so glad that I did. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made, because then I had basically a second coaching career, which I'm sure you guys have seen online. That's been my, a lot of the victories that I've done have been online. And it's been so much better because I actually enjoy it. Now it's like, do I still like doing this? Do I still like showing up every single day? Yeah, I do. I fucking love it. It's my favorite thing in the world. Cool. And I became so much better of a coach because I was just doing it because I enjoyed it. So that's the challenge for you. That's where the emotional control stuff comes in, right? Why am I doing this stuff? Why do I care about losing fat? Why do I care about building muscle? Why do I care about getting stronger? Like, who gives a shit? If you lose 5% body fat, you're no different of if I were to snap my fingers, everyone here 5% leaner. Nothing about your life will change. So why are you willing to change your life that you have now for something that's not going to change your life whatsoever? It's because you enjoy it. So are you someone that, hey, I just enjoy challenges. I enjoy growing. I have a growth mindset, and I just like to do it because I like to feel, it makes me feel good about myself, makes me feel accomplished. And then the reward of being, let's say, 5% leaner, that's just the cherry on top. That's just me to myself being like, hey, good job, man. But I enjoyed getting here because I had to grow to become somebody different to get that 5% decrease in body fat, or had to grow to become a different person mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to become someone that can deadlift 100 more pounds. That's the real reward, is the person that you become along the way. And the emotional stuff, really, that comes down from, hey, I have all this trauma that I stuffed down my entire life I've never dealt with. I'm just going to pretend like it's not there. That's going to lead to some problems. And it's going to lead to problems in your personal life. It's going to lead to problems in your gym life. It's going to lead to problems everywhere. But the sooner you get that stuff under control, you're just going to be a lot more happy in your life. There's going to be a lot more joy in the process. If I make this deadlift, it means nothing. It means literally nothing in my life. But I'm going to make it because I fucking want to. And I did all the work, and I love being someone that does hard work and to push my limits and to see every single day what I'm really made of. Like, that's what I love to do. Now I put myself in a position where I get an opportunity to put all the pieces together. And I know if I do my best, I will make this lift because I put in all the work. I know that. And I get that opportunity. If I fail, then whatever. I'll just go back to the drawing board and I'll do it again. But I'm not going to be any less of a person if I miss. I'm not going to be any more of a person if I make it. But if I make it, it's going to be fucking awesome. That part's cool too, right? So that's the emotional side of things. And there's a book that I recommend if you guys are readers. There's a couple books, actually. I'm a big time reader. My favorite book of all time is called A New Earth. And that just goes into your ego. This is why you are the way you are. And it's super well written. And dude, it made me cry. I'm not going to lie. It made me cry reading this book. It was like a dagger through my heart at certain points. I was like, oh my God, this is exactly my situation. Like, to the T, this is exactly it. And it really opened up my eyes to be like, yo, dude, you got some room to grow, my man. So A New Earth, great book. And there's another one called There's a Hole in My Love Cup. And again, A Hole in My Love Cup is more like a therapy type of book. A New Earth is more of a philosophy type of book. But they're both awesome. And The Hole in My Love Cup is awesome. The guy that wrote it, I feel kind of connected with him in a number of ways. He was like a strength and conditioning coach. He's like a big jacked up dude. Like, and he talks like curses all the time like I do. I don't like purposely curse. I'm just from New Jersey and that's just normal language, I guess. But he's not like your normal like therapy nerd, you know, which ain't nothing wrong with therapy nerds. But for me personally, I connect with this guy because he talks a lot about like, just here's the deal. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. So anyway, and the fourth one is connecting with your intuition. So that's like, if you can quiet your mind, if your mental chatter is all over the place, you're not going to be able to quiet your mind long enough to really understand what the next move is. If your emotions are all out of whack, you're not going to be quiet enough to understand what the next move is. So when you are quiet, you can start to listen to your intuition, that little voice you have inside of you. And this is something where I'm a coach. I teach athletes. I can't do everything for you. I can't make every single decision for you as a coach. I wish I could, but I can't. There's going to be certain things that only you know the answer to. So I have people, you know, I'm sure everyone here has had this in their life at some point in time. Your friend comes to you like, hey, I'm really struggling in my relationship. Should I break up with him or should I break up with her? And you're like, the real answer is, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Okay. Only you know. You're the only person that's ever been there in every single conversation. You're the only person that knows all the body language that happened, the tone of voice, you're the only person that knows all of the things. I can only tell you what you want to hear or what you don't want to hear. I don't really know the answer. Now, if you're like being abused or something, it's like, yeah, fuck that guy. Get the fuck out of here. It's a different story, okay? But the real answer is, as I tell people all the time, listen, you need to get quiet, put that question out to the universe and just listen. Listen to that little voice inside of you. But then the next step is the hardest. You need to have the courage to follow it, whatever it says. And that's when I left my gym in Delaware to go to Hawaii. I was listening to that voice and I trusted it so much. I gave away all of my stuff. I gave away all of my stuff. I gave away almost all of my money. I went out there with like $2,000 and one suitcase because I was like, you know what? I just trust that if I start over from the beginning, it's all going to work out. And I trust it so much that I'm willing to just go there with no safety nets whatsoever. And when I first got there, I was supposed to like this like work trade thing with this guy who owned a gym, and to stay in this little house they call it Ohana's. It's basically like a little like mother-in-law suite type of house that they have out in Hawaii. It wasn't even built. I got there, it wasn't even built. It wasn't even built. So I lived in a hostel. I basically spent all my money. I bought a van for $700 and it broke down in a week and died. So I pretty much burned through my money in like no time at all. And I was about to be homeless. I was doing a seminar. And then after that seminar, like I had my stuff packed up. After that seminar, I had nowhere to go. And I just trusted. I wasn't even upset about it. I was just like, even in this situation, I still trust that this was the right decision. I still trust my intuition that's leading me in the right direction. I just know it's going to work out. In worst case scenario, I'll sleep on the beach until I figure it out. Like, I'll figure it out because I know this is the right move. And this guy that came to my seminar, who I met like maybe 2 times ever, was like, hey, I heard you don't have a place to live. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I might have a place for you. I'm like, dude, honestly, that'd be sick. Like anywhere inside would be amazing. So he puts me up in a beachfront condo for 4 months for free, gives me a car to drive, gives me money, gives me a job. And he's one of the most influential people I've ever had in my entire life. How did the fuck did that happen? I don't know. And I'm not saying it's going to happen every single time because I've had some times where things didn't work out. But eventually it works out when you really trust and follow that voice you have inside. But that takes courage. And that's what most people are afraid. They know the right answer, but they don't have the courage to follow it because a lot of times the right answer doesn't make sense logically whatsoever. Dude, you're going to give up your entire coaching career to just go out into the abyss with nothing? Like, yup. Why? I don't know. I just know that it's the right move. And now my life is a million times better. So it does work out. So from an athlete standpoint, it could be something like, hey, we're in a competition and let's say you miss your second attempt. Well, now we're off plan. Now there's a decision that needs to be made. A decision that needs to be made could be, all right, let's just go right to third attempts and we'll just assume that you made it. Or we can real quick hit that in the back and then like we have to hit this third attempt in order to win. So there's a number of different directions that we can go, or we can hit the second attempt again and that's it for us. But at least it keeps us in the meet, but we're probably not going to win, but we're not going to bomb out. Like we're not going to get last. We'll still be in the podium. These are things that we don't really know the answer to because it's unknown. We don't know what the right choice is going to be until afterwards. So this is something as a coach, I try to really listen to my athletes in this scenario. Hey, all right, I'm listening. I'm going to ask you what I think we should do. What's the move here? And I want to hear what you have to say. I'm going to listen to their answer. If they're like unsure about something, then I'll step in and be like, this is the logical answer. So let's do this. But if they're like, no, fuck that, I don't care. I'm going to smash this third attempt. I'm like, well, it's kind of risky, but I'm not going to say that because I don't want to, like, put them in. I don't want to discourage them in any sort of way. But if you can tell if they're like, no, dude, I don't care. This happened. My technique was a little bit off. Doesn't matter. I'm on fire. I don't care. I'm going to smash this. Third attempt. Let's do it. Done. I'm not even going to question it because that's something that their intuition is telling them, hey, this is the right move. So I don't know the answer as a coach. Only you know that. So being able to follow your intuition in life is super important because how do I know what the next move is when there's no way to know until after I made it? Well, this is it. You have to be quiet enough in your mind to be able to listen to what the answer is. And when you can do that, you're going to go far. Then the last one is, how do I develop this will to never give up under any circumstances ever? And a lot of stuff that I've learned comes from studying like special forces guys, especially SEALs, and just like warriors throughout history and things like that. And there's a difference between SEALs. If you talk to some of these guys back when they were like fighting Taliban and stuff like that, the way they talk about Taliban guys, like, yo, these guys are fucking tough. Like they will fight until they die. But they're not good fighters. They're not highly trained, skilled warriors, but they're tough. Why are they tough? They're going up against guys that voluntarily choose to be the baddest motherfuckers in the world, SEALs. They're going up against them, but they're still tough. Because there's a difference between, hey, I voluntarily signed up for this. I'm a bad motherfucker. I got the best weapons, the best guys next to me. Like I'm a G. And you've been chosen by God to go fight the infidels, and there'll be 70 virgins waiting for you in heaven. Like that comes from a different place. Same thing with Vikings. Look at the Vikings. Dude, why are they so tough? Because it's an honor for them to die in battle. You get to go to Valhalla. That's the highest honor you can do. Same thing with Spartans. So it's hard to beat someone who doesn't care about dying. Right, so I'm not saying that you should want to lose weight. You should want to, your fat loss journey. You want to get stronger so much that you're willing to die for it. I'm just saying that there is a level, that is a level that's possible. The closer you can get to that level, the more successful you're going to be. So how do we do that in like a reasonable way? Well, it comes down to like why do you want to do this? We were talking about before. If you can snap our fingers and you're 5% less body fat, it's not going to change your life whatsoever. So why do you want to do that? So I have athletes write this down. Why? Write down an index card. Why? Have people that are my online clients write this down on an index card. Why do you want to do this? And it needs to be a real reason. Oh, well, why do you want a fatter ass? Well, I just really want one. I want to look better in a bikini. Why do you want to look better in a bikini? Well, and I'll just keep like grilling people till they give me the real answer. Like, well, because like I don't care what the answer is. It's your life, not mine. I just want to know what it is. Because that's the real reason, the real deep-rooted reason is going to be the thing that drives you out. Like your motivation is going to do this over time. Your discipline hopefully is like this, but sometimes it's going to drop. What drives you out of these dips is the why. But it's got to be real, right? So if your why is because if I die out here, I'm going to go to Valhalla, like that's a pretty good reason why to keep fighting, right? So whatever reason your real why is, write that down on an index card. And I used to do this when I was in undergrad. This was like years ago before the internet was as big as it is now as far as social media goes, and people thought I was a fucking crazy person and whatever. But I would have index cards all over the place. I would like tape to my steering wheel. I was just totally dialed in on the things I was focused on in my life and the goals I wanted to achieve all the time. So I put it around in different areas of my life, put it on my refrigerator, put it on my steering wheel, put it in the bathroom, and I'm just thinking about what I really want in my life all the time. So it's easier to make the small decisions that we talked about earlier when you're constantly focused on where you're trying to go. So if you're like, oh, I want to put 50 pounds on my deadlift, and you think about that once a month, well, you're going to make decisions that are going to drive you in that direction a lot closer to once a month. Where if you're thinking about it 100 times a day, you're going to be thinking about, do I really want to do this thing? It's not driving me closer to my goals. So you're more likely to make the right decision that's geared towards your goals, and that's not. So it doesn't matter, 50 pounds on your deadlift, whatever, these are just examples. Whatever it is that you want to achieve in your life, there's a process and there's skills to it, and that's the number one thing that athletes do better than people that are not athletes, is they have the decision-making skills that are better. They're not superheroes. I'll tell you right now, every single athlete that you see that's won a gold medal, won a world championship, is a bad motherfucker in the UFC. I've had conversations with these people in some of the most down times in their life. They're human beings. They just get back on the horse faster when they fall off, and they have more skills to get. It's just when things go down, they have more skills to get back up faster than other people, and that's it. I coached a dude who's one of the baddest motherfuckers in the UFC. He was like top 5 lightweight. This was when Conor McGregor was there, Khabib, Tony Ferguson, all these dudes that were like, that was like one of the hardest divisions ever. And this dude would be cutting. He'd cut down from like 181 to 155. And it would be like a couple days out. He's just like struggling. He's like, I don't know, man. I just don't know if I'm cut out for this stuff. These are like behind closed doors conversations. It's like, bro, you're like the scariest person I've ever met in my entire life. You just have no calories right now. It's going to be fine. And then he weighs in, puts all the then turns back into a bad motherfucker. Everyone has these down moments. It doesn't matter who you are. So from the outside looking in, you just see people on the podium, winning the gold medals, but you don't see the struggles behind the scenes. Everybody struggles, but there's skills to get you back out, and these are the skills. It just depends on how bad you want it, right? So here, like I said in the beginning, here's where you are, here's where the goal is. The work in the middle doesn't change. It's a requirement. You have to do the work. So the mindset is, I'm not going to do the work that I want to do. I'm going to do the work that's required. And then you need to find goals that are within the workload that you're willing to do. And that's it. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, so I got a couple questions. Somebody asked about, I'm going to get the exact question. Somebody said about weight loss or fat loss. And all right, she said, I go to the gym 5 to 6 times a week. I lift weights. I do cardio at the end. I'm trying to lose fat, but I've noticed I've been stuck for 4 months. Same weight and size. I think many of us women are stuck on how much to eat, the amount of calories, macros, etc. How do we calculate all to make sure our nutrition and workouts give us the results we want? Lose fat. Can we undereat? And that's why we're not seeing results. There's so much information on social media. Sometimes I feel lost. Thanks in advance. All right. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. So basically, you're doing the work. Okay, you're doing the work, but you're not seeing the results. So when it comes to nutrition, this is the hardest thing to deal with. I think whether you're an athlete or not, if you're recreational, if you're a beginner, if you're advanced, nutrition is the hardest thing because you can go to the gym 4 times a week, lift really hard, and you're gonna get stronger. You're gonna see good results. But nutrition is all day, every day, 7 days a week. So how do you continue when you hit a plateau? So let's say you're doing everything the right way. You're in a calorie deficit. You're actually in a deficit, and your weight's going down, 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 down. Cool. Then from there, you're at a plateau. What do you need to do? So if you're at a plateau, you need to do one of 2 things. Either you do more activity or eat less. Or if you're actually down really low, what you could do is take a little diet break where you bring the calories back up for about a week, back to maintenance for a week, and then you start the whole process again. You should be able to push things down again. So if you are doing things the right way, if you're at a plateau, that means the calories going in equal the calories going out. So that's the equation that we need to change. So the calories out needs to be, you can change the calories out. So the best way to do that is by doing more low intensity steady state if your goal is to continue to perform. So walking is one of the best things that you can do. It's so why do we do low intensity versus high intensity? High intensity is good too, and there's gonna be a time and a place for high intensity. And in my programs and my coaching, I put a lot of high intensity intervals and that type of stuff in there. But the difference is the the substrates that we use. So are you using carbohydrates to make this happen, or are you using fats to make this happen? Those are going to be important things. So if you want to perform in the gym, carbs are a main source of fuel. So if you're burning carbs just to do cardio, essentially to just burn calories, you're going to not perform in the gym as well because your gas tank for that performance is now lower. But the good news is you can do it in a shorter period of time, right? You can do sled sprints and slam balls for 10 minutes and burn a shit ton of calories, but you're dipping in your carbs. So if you are going to do something like that, let's say you're going to do sled sprints, you should do that after a leg day, not before a leg day. Same day. So leg day, immediately after, do 10 minutes of like leg high intensity stuff, a minute on, minute off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, something similar to that, because you're kind of just pouring out whatever's left in the gas tank. But something that you can do at any point in time is low intensity. So when we do low intensity, just steady state cardio, walking, riding a bike, an intensity where you're not feeling burning in your muscles. The primary source of fuel in that scenario is fat. That doesn't mean that you're going to lose body fat, right? Losing body fat comes from being a calorie deficit. So let's say I'm at 2,000 calories and I'm eating 1,800. I need 2,000, but I'm only getting 1,800. These 200 has to come from somewhere. It doesn't just come from nowhere. So we pull from fat stores, we break down stores of fat to make up that additional 200 deficit. That's how it works, right? So if we can do low intensity, that's the only way you're going to lose fat. So if we do low intensity for a longer period of time, you're going to burn calories. You can make that deficit a little bit larger, but you're not going to tire yourself out for the weightlifting part. So the weight training, the heavy weight training should always be part of your training no matter what. If you're trying to cut down, you should lift as hard as you possibly can. That's going to prevent muscle loss the best you possibly can. But if you're going in tired all the time because you're doing high intensity stuff, you're not going to be able to lift hard enough to really maintain the muscle. So low intensity is good, but it just takes time. So how do we do that? Well, I have like a little treadmill, I guess. I guess a walking pad is called. You can get them on Amazon for like $150. I got a little walking pads right here. And I got a little standing desk that I got for another like $50. It's not anything fancy. And I just do shit on my computer. I'll watch TV show and I'll walk for 30 minutes, like super slow pace. I'll do like anywhere between 1.7 miles per hour, which is like super slow. Sometimes if I'm really trying to like get some calories in, I'll do 3.0. I'll never go higher than 3. But usually I'm around 2.1, I would say on average. I can do that for 30 minutes. Sometimes I'll walk for an hour plus. And if you're watching a TV show, if you're walking at 2.0, like you don't even really notice it. So these are just things that you can do. Or you can decrease the amount of calories that you eat. So I can burn 200 calories by walking, or I can eat 200 calories less. But eating 200 calories less sucks. So you can do 100 and 100. You can eat 200 less, or you can burn 200 more. That's how that works. So that's really up to you as personal preference. They will all work the same, but each are going to have some different consequences, right? So eating less calories when you're already in a deficit or you're already eating low calories sucks because you're going to be hungry longer. You're going to be more likely to binge, which is going to fuck the whole thing up. But if you walk more, then it's just more time dedicated to your goal. So it just depends on what you want to do. That's up to you. So that's if things are going the right way. So she asked, can you eat too little? Well, kind of yes, kind of no. The answer is no, right? If you're just eating less calories than you're burning, you're going to lose weight. It's a fact. But what happens more times than not, especially with women, their calories are way too low. So I work with people and they're like at like 1,300 calories. I'm like, dude, that's what like a child should be eating. So I'll bring them up to like 1,900 and they freak out. I'm like, dude, that's still pretty low calories. So here's the thing. If you're at 1,300 calories, let's say your body needs, let's just easy numbers. Let's say your body needs 2,000 calories and you're only giving it 1,200 or 1,300. What's going to happen is you're going to lose some weight, but your body's going to start to shut down certain systems. It's going to start to shut down the things that require energy. So to hold on to fat stores doesn't require energy. But to hold on to muscle requires energy. It takes a lot of calories just to keep your muscles pumping and keep them moving. So you're gonna lose more muscle mass like that because now it's like, well, just to hold on to this costs me X amount of calories. If I get rid of that, I get rid of this, the amount that I need to feed that, and the amount that it's actually burning up all the time. It's also going to make you mentally slower because your brain needs a lot of glucose to function all day long. So it's going to make you, you're going to lose motivation to do stuff. So it's going to start to shut things down where it makes you not want to do things that burn more calories. So that's not in your best interest to do that. But more times than not, what happens is, okay, I'm at 2,000, I need 2,000, I'm at 1,300, and let's say I'm actually making it work somehow. That's when you're more likely to binge. And the binging is what we want to, is the number one thing that we want to avoid when dieting, right? One is super mentally unhealthy, right? If you're get caught in this cycle of binging, it's very mentally unhealthy to do, and it's also physically unhealthy to do. So eat more calories. So a lot of times people binge at night. That's super common. Why do people binge at night? People binge at night because they didn't give themselves nearly enough calories throughout the day, and it takes willpower to say no to eating the snacks and binging and things like that. But your willpower, think of your willpower like a muscle, it gets tired. So now your calories are super low, your blood sugar is super low, your willpower is low, and you're hungry, and then you take, I just want to eat this one bite of ice cream. And the next thing you know, you ate a whole half gallon of ice cream. So that's what we want to avoid. So if you want ice cream, if that's like, dude, I just can't live without ice cream. All right, cool. But like maybe get like a Halo Top ice cream and eat half of it. It's 150 calories. No big deal. You can figure that out pretty easily in your macros, right? So people that go on too low calories end up binging and ends up eating way more, but they don't want to count that binge. And there's a lot of shame revolved around that or involved with that, and they don't want to talk about it. And that's one thing from a coaching standpoint, it's really difficult to get the real answers out of people. I'm like, dude, I'm not judging you. I just need to know what's going on so I can help you. But there's a lot of shame revolved around like, hey, I ate this entire tub of ice cream, entire pizza, and 2 dozen cookies. It's hard to tell people that. But it's like, dude, I need to know that because I'll give you more calories or we can figure out a way to do it. Right? So typically when people are on too low calories, they binge. I want you to think of it like saving money. Right? So if your goal is to save money, if you save $5 every single day for 6 days, Monday through Saturday, you got $30 now. $30 in the bank. But on Sunday, you spend $50. Well, guess what? Now you're minus 20. So those 6 days essentially didn't really mean anything. So think about your calories like money and think of it on a weekly basis versus a day-to-day basis. Now, if I want to get to my weekly goal, I need to hit my daily goals. But if I mess up a little bit on this day, I can make up a little bit for on that day. That's okay. But a lot of times people think, oh, I'm doing a great job. My diet's perfect 6 days a week. So yeah, with that one day is not perfect, and that's what's fucking the whole thing up. So that's kind of what it sounds like where she's at is, hey, I've been going to the gym 5 to 6 days a week. I'm doing cardio. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. But I'm kind of plateaued. It's not like she wasn't making any results. She just stopped. So now you have to start to really go into the details and say, where is this coming from? How do we make the adjustments? And that's going to be different person to person. So like in a coaching scenario, I would go in like deep dive in that person's life and say, okay, what's going on here? What are your weekends looking like? What are your night times looking like? What's going on here? Because a lot of times it's not. Maybe they're just, their calories just need to be adjusted. That's normal too. So if I start you off, again, you need 2,000 calories. I start you off, you're going to make progress, boom, 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 boom. But now your maintenance calories are no longer 2,000. They might be 1,800. So we need to adjust them to 1,600 or whatever, right? So a lot of times you need to adjust the calories. So I think that's everything that she said. Yeah, but if you want to get down to, I'm a power lifter, but I work out at a gym that's mostly bodybuilding. And these are like the best bodybuilders in the world, right? So Derek Lunsford trains there. He's Mr. Olympia. There's a lot of Olympians. Pretty much everyone there is an IFBB pro. So all these people, you see the same people every single day. You go in every single day, obviously make friends with these people, talk to them. So when they're getting like super, super lean, the people that you see on stage that are like, people on social media that are posting their bodies that just have insane physiques, a lot of times to get to that really low level, that last little push, so from where this woman is to get to that next level, this part sucks a lot. So you got to ask yourself, like, is this really what I want to do? A lot of these people do it because they're passionate about it. They really do enjoy the dieting side of things. They enjoy pushing themselves and really seeing how far they can go. But there definitely becomes a point where it's like, hey, this is unhealthy. And a lot of these people, they know that it's unhealthy, but they just do it anyway because that's what they love to do, right? So there is going to be a certain point where it's like, hey, where does my life become unhealthy? And they should probably stop before that. And then over time, you can continually make gains slowly over time. That's how it goes. All right, somebody asks, do you then recommend doing cardio prior to your lift as opposed to either at the same time? So I would always do cardio after you lift, right? So the goal should be so you need a certain amount of intensity in your weight training to grow, build, or maintain muscle. So if you're putting some of your energy into cardio beforehand, which really the goal for cardio from a physique standpoint is to just burn calories, you can burn calories at any point in time. So why would you waste some of that intensity that should be going into weightlifting by doing it beforehand? So it should be the most intensity goes into my weight training, and then whatever's left over, I'm going to do cardio. Now, the real reason that you should do cardio is because it's good for your heart and it's going to keep you healthy in the long haul. But if we're just talking purely aesthetics and physique, you should do it either way. You should do it afterwards, right? But now, if you're like, hey, but I'm a competitive triathlete, like, okay, well, now we're talking something a little bit different. All right. 5'1", I have to eat 1,400 calories to lose fat. Do you? Maybe. That seems really low, even at 5'1". So the one girl that I train with sometimes is 5'0", and she eats like 3,500 calories for maintenance. She's also fucking jacked, but still, like, that's what I'm saying. I think what you think you need and what you actually need are two different things. So 5'1", it doesn't matter. Like 1,300 calories is so low calories. I don't think people understand that. Maybe. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying it's highly unlikely. I think that what you're going to do is you're going to, and also a lot of times what happens is people they get these calories super low, and then their metabolism is going to start to get slower as well. So when you start to diet, that's why you shouldn't be in a calorie deficit for forever, because your metabolism does get slower. So dieting puts a lot of stress on your body. So it's not the end of the world, but you shouldn't do it forever. So you go through breaks, right? So I've been cutting for 4 months, and Saturday was like my last day of the cut, where I kind of peaked into it, where I was like looking like artificially leaner than I was for one day to like take some pictures and make some content and stuff like that. But 4 months, like, one, mentally I was kind of exhausted. My body I need to build my calories back up. So what I can do in a reverse diet, that's what it's called, you slowly bring your calories back up. So we're slowly bringing your calories down, now you slowly bring them back up. But what you can do is you can maintain your body weight by eating more and more calories over time, because the amount of calories that your body's burning. So when people say metabolism, typically what they're referring to is how many calories are you burning just if you were just lay in bed all day and do nothing. It takes a lot of calories to just be alive, to breathe your lungs all day, pump your heart all day, run your brain, run your organs. Like, it costs a lot of calories, where for me, just to be alive is probably like 2,300 to 2,400 calories just to live. That's not doing the dishes, walking around, definitely not exercising, that's including no activity whatsoever. So 1,300 is probably very low, and you should probably think about reversing out of that. But again, there's just skills to all that stuff. But I gained fat back at 1,600 while weight training 4 times a week and running 3-4 days a week. Yeah, this is stuff where, like, again, it's a lot more than just here's a little snippet of my life. We'd have to go in a deep dive and really figure out, like, what does your life actually look like? Are you really doing 1,600 calories? And I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying that I don't know anything about you, so there's no way I could know to call you out. But a lot of times people think they're getting 1,600 and really they're not. So a lot of times the way people measure their food and is not correct. The way things like, oh, I just put a little bit this little bit of sauce, just put this little bit of ketchup on here, whatever. These things add up to quite a bit. So again, I don't know your exact situation, so I can't give you specific results. But if you jump from 13 to 1,600, if you're like 100 pounds, if you're 5'1" and 100 pounds, like, maybe it's a different story. But again, I don't know enough about you to give you like specific answers. But yeah, if that's something isn't right, we know that. 1,300 is probably too low. 1,600 may be too high. I don't know. Or again, this is where it's a tough conversation to have. Maybe you're doing 1,600, but maybe you're increasing the runs, increasing that stuff, and I end up binging somewhere else down the road. Like there may be an influx of calories coming in somewhere that we haven't discussed yet. So again, I'm not trying to call. I don't know the answer. We have to really like have an honest, open conversation about that kind of stuff to really figure out the right answer. You guys have any questions for me? Awesome. Listen, I'm gonna try to do these once a week. This is the goal that I'm working on in my life right now, and I hope you guys can be part of it. I want to create a community of people that are just interested in doing things better with their life. That's it. I want to surround myself with people that are interested in fitness goals, obviously, but just pushing themselves to be better in all areas of their life. And I'm trying to build that community as much as I possibly can. And I think that's just something for a long time. I kind of have put that on the back burner, is really focused on my little community that I have in my own life. So the athletes that I coach and the people that I surround myself with in my like daily life. But I also came to the realization that I have a pretty decent sized platform on social media, and I have the ability to reach a lot of people and help a lot of people's lives. And I feel a little bit irresponsible with that, in the sense that I could be doing a lot more. And for me to just come on in here, rap with you guys once a week, give you guys some tips. This is fun for me to do. I want to help you guys as much as possible. So I'm trying to get as many people that are just interested in doing some things and doing some life together. One of the things that I'm trying to put together, it's going to take about 8 to 10 months, is basically a group vacation. And this company approached me, and I know some people that are other influencers that do it, and it's pretty awesome. But a lot of people, one thing that I've been talking to a lot of people, and this is something that's in my life as well, is they struggle with like, the social aspect of life, especially as you get older. So it's like, hey, let's get to know each other. And with my teams, everything, the mindset has always been better together. You're going to hear that a million times. If you're ever on one of my actual teams in person, it's better together. And what that means is if you put the team first, everyone does better than if you just put yourself first. So if you go on a little trip, say you get 8 people together and go to Bali or Thailand or Japan or wherever it is, it's going to be less expensive for everyone because we're doing it together. So essentially, that's the one thing that I'm trying to put together. And I'm not trying to make any money from this. I'm trying to make it so I can get to go for free. But the money that I would make from it, I already talked to a guy that's like a videographer. I'm like, yo, I'll pay for your trip. With the money that I make, I want to pay for your trip. I just want to make the trip better. I want everyone to have an awesome time. To get a professional video guy, I'm like, yo, listen, we got 8 months, guys. I'm going to teach you guys how to lose fat, how to build muscle. Let's work towards this, or whatever the date is. And then let's go on this cool trip together. Here's how much it's going to cost. I'll get this video guy to take awesome pics of you in the dopest place in the world at the cheapest price possible. Everybody wins. There's going to be enough people that are interested in that. That's one thing I'm trying to do. That's why I think building a community, we can do things together that I can't do by myself. I went on a trip last year to Europe solo for 3 weeks, and it was awesome. But it would have been way cooler going with a group of people. That's what I realized. Is like, because I've traveled mostly with people, and that was like the first time in a long time that I traveled solo. And I was like, man, this would be way cooler. And I feel like, again, like there's a lot that I can give back to people, and that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm gonna try to do this once a week. And if you guys want to keep coming, it'd be awesome. I have my private Facebook group. If you want to, you can go there and put questions, or you can come with questions ahead of time. I just want to help out as many people as I possibly can, and get people to, hey, here's the real deal, man. Because there's a lot of bullshit on social media, and I feel like, there's a number of coaches that I know. There's a lot of people that I know just through social media, and there's a lot of great coaches out there, and there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, that's not gonna work. That's only going to work for you because your genetics are insane. But like, so I'm trying to teach people, hey, here's the real deal. Here's what's going to actually help you get to your goals. And the number one thing is looking yourself in the mirror and being like, yo, I'm in total control of this. It's up to me. You're saying that to yourself. You know what I mean? I'm in total control of my life. So that's what I'm trying to do. So hopefully you guys had a good time, and hopefully see you guys again next week.